All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating deep dive into the Codatta system, specifically looking at tokenized knowledge ownership proofs. If you're trying to figure out exactly how emerging tech is structurally rewiring how we actually value digital contributions, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going way beyond the surface level here, and we want to look directly at the architecture they've built to fundamentally change the internet's economics. Let's get to it. Right off the bat, the source material asks what I think is the ultimate question. How do we actually guarantee you get paid for contributing your knowledge? I mean, think about it for a second. Every single day, millions of us are contributing to the digital world. You curate information, you annotate data, you share your specific expertise online. And currently, massive AI models are just scooping all this up and training on vast amounts of this totally uncompensated human data. Historically, all of that effort just vanishes into a black box. The value generated by your brainpower rarely, if ever, makes its way back to your pocket. It is incredibly frustrating, right? You provide the critical knowledge, but you see zero dividends. The Codatta documentation frames this not just as a minor flaw, but literally as the ultimate bug in the digital economy. And, well, they've built a permanent fix.
So, what's the fix? The answer isn't some loose contract or a polite promise from a massive tech giant. It is a complete paradigm shift. They turn your data into a fractionally owned, on-chain asset. That is the overarching powerful solution here. They're taking something completely invisible, your accumulated knowledge and applied data, and transforming it into a tangible digital asset that lives permanently on the blockchain. So you're not just a passive user or, an unpaid intern for the internet anymore. You become a verified owner of an asset that holds real, trackable, and permanent value.
To see exactly how this works under the hood, the documentation gives us a roadmap with 3 core pillars. 1, fractional ownership. 2, the dual earning engine. And 3, zero trust. Let's just go ahead and unpack these one by one.
Starting off with pillar number 1, fractional ownership, or as we like to call it, the slice of the pie. Imagine a massive, highly valuable data set is being built. When you contribute your specific knowledge to it, you aren't just tossing a coin into a wishing well and crossing your fingers. You are mathematically carving out an exact slice of that dataset version that belongs entirely to you. The system actually recognizes your specific, measurable contribution and explicitly gives you a fraction of the total ownership. It literally brings this completely abstract idea of data ownership straight into physical, verifiable reality. You own your slice, plain and simple. Now, all of this revolves around a really crucial term they use, the content fingerprint, or CF. Basically, when a dataset is finalized, it gets this content fingerprint. Think of it as a specific version of that dataset frozen in time. The documentation is super clear here. It emphasizes that you own an exact share of this content fingerprint, and that is absolutely vital, because it means your contribution is explicitly tracked at a molecular level. It totally removes human error or those annoying corporate disputes over who contributed what and when. If that specific fingerprint goes on to generate value, say months or even years down the line, your exact fractional share mathematically dictates your exact payout. There is literally zero guesswork involved here.
Okay, moving right along to pillar number 2, the dual earning engine, which is a two-sided ecosystem. Let's look at how this actually builds on that fractional ownership concept. The whole system relies on a two-sided marketplace. On one side, we have the contributors. On the other side, the backers. And both of these participants are absolutely essential for generating value and royalty yields across the entire ecosystem. They kind of act as counterweights to one another. So let's break down how they actually interact. If you're a contributor, here's your pipeline. Step 1, you submit and annotate data. This is where your actual human knowledge, your effort, and your expertise all come into play. Then step 2, you mint ownership. And this right here is the catalyst. It's the magic moment where your labor officially transforms into an on-chain asset. Remember, you're not working for free anymore. You are minting a permanent record of your contribution that grants you those fractional rights we just talked about. Your work immediately becomes your property.
But of course, any healthy ecosystem needs capital and strict quality control, right? And that brings us to the backers. Backers play this incredibly crucial role of quality assurance by staking on the absolute best datasets. You can think of them almost like validators or maybe early-stage venture capitalists putting real skin in the game to signal quality. They review the datasets that contributors create and they put their own resources on the line to vouch for the work. In return for surfacing and supporting that high-quality data, they earn a royalty yield, so it's a super efficient economic engine.
Contributors build the value, backers validate and amplify it, and everybody gets paid for their specific role. This brings us to the third and final pillar, zero trust. Essentially, the ironclad lock on your paycheck. The documentation states that the system is, and I'm quoting here, cryptographically locked via snapshot hashes and Merkle proofs. Okay, yeah, that is definitely some dense technical jargon, but practically speaking, it just means your royalty distributions are protected by uncompromising math. Let's break it down. A snapshot hash basically freezes the exact state of the data at a specific moment in time. And a Merkle proof acts like a digital tamper-evident seal. It guarantees that not a single byte of that data, or your corresponding payout share, can be altered without the entire network just immediately rejecting it. It's basically an unbreakable digital padlock. The core takeaway here is that every single royalty distribution is cryptographically locked with zero trust. And honestly, zero trust is a beautiful thing in this context. It simply means you don't ever have to rely on human promises. You don't have to trust some central tech company to suddenly wake up and do the right thing out of the goodness of their hearts. And you definitely don't have to hope a finance department actually processes your invoice correctly. The math itself, those snapshot hashes and Merkle proofs we just mentioned, guarantees your fair payment automatically, based entirely on your content fingerprint. So bringing all of these pillars together, we get to the ultimate outcome: unbreakable provenance, tracing the value. The source material makes this really emphatic declaration. Provenance is never broken. Provenance is basically the origin story of the data. Because you own an exact fractional share that is cryptographically locked and constantly validated by this active ecosystem, the origin of your knowledge is permanently preserved. It can always be traced directly back to you. And honestly, this is the holy grail for data creators right now. Because whether your data is used tomorrow or, say, 10 years from now to train the next massive AI algorithm, the system remembers exactly who built it. The connection to your original authentic contribution remains completely unbroken. So we've seen how the Codatta system uses exact fractional shares, a dual backer-contributor ecosystem, and mathematical zero trust to solve this massive problem of uncompensated knowledge. Which leaves us with one final thought based on all this documentation we just went through. Now that the technology actually exists to fundamentally turn your data into a permanent paying asset, are you ready to claim tokenized ownership of your digital knowledge footprint? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.